Oh, dear God. We had a 1,000,000 point score today. We have so much to talk about. Oh, I can't wait to dive into Christian McCaffrey. But before we get into anything, go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you have any questions, if you want to tell us what your biggest lesson learned was, feel free to go down there to that comment section. Let me know anything you have to say. And also, down there in the comments, we are taking suggestions. You know, about a month ago, we went through and gave everybody the free bet on underdog of Cooper Kupp, half a receiving yard. Let me know what player you want for week 9. We are going to go through. We are going to do this for week 9 as well. So, of course, if you want a free bet this week at half a receiving yard, if you want to get a 100% deposit match, go to the link in the comment section, go to the link in the description, sign up for Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOG. You've already seen us do well over 700 drafts on Underdog. You've seen us crush those player props every single week. And with this free bet, it is only available for people who use promo code FLOG. It's not going to be Cooper Kupp using the graphic that we had about a month ago, but we're going to do this very often for only people who use promo code FLOG. We did it a month ago. We are doing it this week. We're going to do it a month from now. We're going to do it next year. Make sure you go sign up for promo code FLOG, deposit $10 to $20 in your account, then just go keep on doubling that with that bet. But that should be it. Let's dive into this. Let's start it off with Mr. Travis Etienne, and someone I want to say is maybe a Christian McCaffrey Jr. I don't know. With Travis Etienne, we all watched him in London go out there and do his best impersonation of a Christian McCaffrey game. He looked phenomenal every single time he touched the ball. He looked like by far and away the best player in the game. The numbers back it up. The man had 24 carries, 156 rushing yards. We know he's a phenomenal pass catcher. He had 3 receptions to stack on it. I mean, if you look at the percentage of the actual output that he accounted for in this Jacksonville Jaguars offense, it is laughable how Jacksonville was just unable to move the ball outside of Travis Etienne. And going over to the other side of the ball here, we are going to look at the Denver Broncos, where, you know, we've been saying for God knows how long that Courtland Sutton's probably the most overrated player in fantasy football. And we've had so many people in the comment section for years and months, whatever you want to say, going, Mason, you clown, take your L. Courtland Sutton's great. I heard the announcer on the TV tell me Courtland Sutton's real good. Okay, well, if we go through and look at this week, Courtland Sutton, 1 reception, 13 receiving yards, compared to the true wide receiver 1 in Denver here, going through with 6 receptions, 63 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. Now, we did this last week. We did this the week before. We will continue to do this. Yes, if you look at the season totals for these 2 wide receivers, they're going to be very skewed because if we remember, the beginning of week 2, Jerry Jeudy left that game right away with an injury. And then hell, week 3, game time decision, pretty much only played because you had no Patrick, no Hamler. They had nobody else to go to. They had to throw Jerry Jeudy out there as the decoy. So if we remove weeks 2 and 3, were the 2 weeks that Jerry Jeudy were injured, Jerry Jeudy's averaged 70 receiving yards per game, 4.5 receptions per game. And if we compare this to Courtland Sutton, Sutton's averaged 3.3 receptions per game and 41 receiving yards. Yeah. Can y'all stop telling me to take my L? Can you take your L, please? Going over to the next spot. Oh, dear God. How is Tyreek Hill still doing this? Tyreek Hill currently leading the NFL in receptions, leading the NFL in receiving yards, and guy Jalen Waddle out there right alongside him. I mean, I'm recording this during the Bills game, watching this on a separate monitor. But at the time of this recording, right now, the top 5 NFL wide receivers in receiving yards: Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown. Yes, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have gotten to play an extra game compared to guys like Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, who already went through their bye weeks, but still. Tyreek Hill, 961 receiving yards. The next best in Justin Jefferson is sitting at 752. This Miami Dolphins offense is ridiculous. The fact that they've had these statistics with these two top receivers, with Tua Tagovailoa missing time, with Jalen Waddle dealing with the groin injury, it is absurd, and I can't wait to continue to watch this offense going forward. Now, going over in that same game, I guess we can say maybe DeAndre Swift's not going to be exactly who we thought he was going to be. I mean, I thought DeAndre Swift was the best buy low candidate over the past few weeks, thinking that he could be a running back that's heavily involved as a pass catcher, could be a running back that has a lot of touchdown upside. Well, he gets 5 targets this past week. That's great. I mean, 5 receptions, 27 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. But Jamal Williams gets both rushing touchdowns. DeAndre Swift has 6 rushing yards. Without the receiving touchdown, DeAndre Swift kind of looked like J.D. McKissic. Swift played 33 snaps compared to Jamal Williams at 22. I don't know. I mean, I am going to be a little more worried about Swift than I was coming into the week. Of course, we have to take this with a grain of salt, however, because it is his first week back from injury. Maybe when we get DeAndre Swift healthier going forward, they start to phase out Jamal Williams a little bit more, but we haven't seen that at any point so far this season where they are just continuing to use Jamal Williams in the red zone over and over and over again. Now, every single week, you know I owe everybody a massive apology. I'm going to get something wrong every single week. Trust me, there's no time I will ever be smart enough to get everything right. Oh my gosh, I got the Carolina Panthers wrong. Knew it was a great matchup going up against the Atlanta Falcons. I did not know Carolina was going to be able to do this, though. Donta Foreman, hook 'em horns. That's all I got to say here. 26 carries, 118 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. DJ Moore has himself a day with 152 receiving yards, 6 receptions, and a receiving touchdown. I don't know if they just needed to get Baker. Is this how bad Baker Mayfield was? Or, you know what? It's probably a Matt Rule thing, right? Let me know in the comment section if you think that this has something to do with Matt Rule. Let me know if you think that this has something to do with Baker Mayfield. Maybe a little bit of both. Probably a little bit of both. I mean, this Panthers offense going from the worst offense in the NFL by a mile to now a team allowing Donta Foreman and DJ Moore to be top 12 players in their position. But now going over to the next one, lesson learned, DeAndre Hopkins, very good. You should have bought DeAndre Hopkins earlier on this season. The man, 12 receptions, 159 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. Just feel like we have to bring it up. He makes the highlight catch in the end zone. Pretty much everybody in the flock has DeAndre Hopkins, so I knew if we didn't say anything, people probably would have been a little upset. But what am I supposed to say here? We knew he was great. You knew he was great. Everybody knew he was great. He's great. Now going down to our next lesson learned. The Dallas Cowboys offense is essentially the 2007 Patriots as soon as you remove Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys offense goes through and has 200 rushing yards this week. Tony Pollard with 14 carries, 131 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb has himself a day. This Cowboys offense could not be stopped. It was obnoxious, truly was. I mean, they ended up getting Malik Davis involved, where Tony Pollard only played 30 snaps compared to Malik Davis at 19. I mean, obviously, this is just due to the fact that this wasn't a real football game. Like, I know. Score was okay at the end. Justin Fields did okay at the end. Yes, when the defense playing prevent defense, he's going to do great. Like, I don't want to talk about the Chicago Bears offense putting up a lot of points. Yeah, I mean, Chicago put up a lot of points. Don't think there's anything to take away from that. However, I mean, hell, they got boat raced. That's what you usually see when the defense decides to start playing prevent. But now going over to Las Vegas, I owe everybody, I guess, another apology for this one as well. We said that while, yes, Davante Adams was dealing with the flu, while, yes, I mean, it's something you had to be monitoring, you had to play him if he was active. I mean, we said that last week. I went through with the flu, and we still got our daily live streams. I didn't miss a day. We didn't take a day off, and I would argue we were at peak physical performance. I guess Davante Adams doesn't have that dog in him. I guess Davante Adams, I mean, is not like your boy here. The man goes through and has a whopping 5 targets, 1 reception, 3 receiving yards. I know we can blame this on the offense, but to be honest, I mean, yeah, Derek Carr was a train wreck, But how much of Derek Carr being very bad was to do with the fact that Devontae Adams wasn't good, Darren Waller wasn't active. So all of a sudden you're telling Derek Carr, hey man, why don't you go out there and let's move the ball down the field with Mac Hollins? Yeah, you can use Hunter Renfrow too. No, it's not going to work out. So whether you want to blame it on Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, maybe Darren Waller not playing, I think there's a lot going on in Las Vegas. Obviously, a disgusting situation. If you get Darren Waller back in, you get Devontae Adams healthy as well, I think it will be a better offense going forward. Now going over, we have Alvin Kamara dominating. I mean, with Alvin Kamara, 9 receptions, 96 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. So you see that stat line, you're like, oh my gosh, wide receiver 1, hell yes. And then all of a sudden you learn that he throws on the extra 62 rushing yards and the rushing touchdown as well. Have a day, Alvin Kamara. I mean, we were saying once you get Thomas, Jarvis, and Jameis all back in, then it's not going to be as good of a situation for Alvin Kamara. But even if he gets a little bit worse here, even if all those players come back in, instead of seeing 10 targets, if he sees 7, the man still easily looks like a running back 1. Now going over, not a big lesson learned. A.J. Brown's big. A.J. Brown's good. A.J. Brown, 11 targets, 6 receptions, 3 receiving touchdowns, and 156 receiving yards. I don't think we can take anything away. I mean, if we're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles when it comes to running the ball, you actually had Miles Sanders with 9 carries compared to Boston Scott at 7, but this wasn't a football game. There's not much we can take away from this Philadelphia game. Outside of if we are going over to Pittsburgh, I mean, I think that we covered this at length coming into the week. Now, one of our biggest sell-high candidates was George Pickens, as well as Wan'Dale Robinson. These 2 super exciting young rookies, right? With these super exciting rookie wide receivers, when they flash, if they don't have the situation to support them the rest of the way, specifically with George Pickens, it may be a spot where we go through and we can kind of just look to see what we can get, because with Pickens, we talked about this coming into the week. My favorite stat was the man was 4th in Pittsburgh. I repeat, 4th in Pittsburgh in targets and 1st in receiving yards. And when you're in this very bad offense where there's a lot of target competition, it's very hard for you to be able to overcome that and to be a consistent fantasy starter. So, I don't know. With Pittsburgh, we already know Najee Harris isn't the best. We learned that a while ago. I already learned that we drafted Deontay Johnson in way too many leagues just because the man gets targets. Clearly, the targets aren't turning into fantasy points. And the biggest takeaway with Pittsburgh is Pickens is still not someone you can start. Please stop going to the comment section screaming at me for not having him in the top 30 receivers. Now, our next spot, Ramondre Stevenson looks like he is just the best receiver in New England. Ramondre leading the New England Patriots in receiving yet again. The man goes through 7 receptions, 72 receiving yards. Myers out here has actually 9 receptions, 60 receiving yards, and the touchdown. A bad day through the air for the New England Patriots, so pretty impressive games from both players. If you're looking at the split with Ramondre and Damien Harris, I mean, Damien Harris was a lot more involved. We said this was going to happen when you had closer games, when they weren't just getting boat raced. Damien Harris actually played 31 snaps compared to Ramondre Stevenson at 49. So we got that right, but I guess we did not get it right to call Ramondre Stevenson a sell high, because honestly, in a full BBR format, maybe Ramondre Stevenson's kind of who we wanted DeAndre Swift to be. He's drawing more targets. He's a more effective pass catcher. He has the goal in the end zone as well, so I don't know. I mean, we were saying to sell Ramondre Stevenson for DeAndre Swift coming into the week. I think I was wrong. Now, our next spot, Derrick Henry big, Derrick Henry strong, Derrick Henry fast, Derrick Henry scores fantasy points. Okay, we'll move on from that. We already all know that. But looking over to Malik Willis. Oh my gosh. I wanted to go through and try to find the biggest idiot on the internet. I went to Twitter, did some searching from earlier in the week, and look at this straight up clown thinking Malik Willis was going to be a good fantasy quarterback because the man averaged 94 rushing yards a game his junior season in college. Oh my gosh. Embarrassing. All jokes aside, I'm sorry for telling anybody that Malik Willis was a good streamer. I thought we were going to have the elite rushing upside. Clearly, I was wrong. You have 10 passing attempts for Malik Willis. You have 5 rushing attempts for Malik Willis. You have 32 carries for Derrick Henry. Oh my gosh. Now, Brian Robinson, our next guy, loses the starting job in Washington. Running back in a three-man committee in one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Probably not something we're too excited about. Don't run out there and get super excited about playing Antonio Gibson. We've had Brian Robinson as a clear sellout guy. We had Antonio Gibson as a clear sellout guy. You always want to be selling the starting running back in Washington because you cannot be a running back in a three-man committee in one of the worst offenses in the NFL and be effective. You had 22 snaps for Gibson this week, 22 snaps for J.D. McKissic, 15 snaps for Brian Robinson, and continue to have to bench every single one of these players. But now, our next player, someone I thought you didn't have to bench, but I guess we are wrong, Darrell Henderson. Henderson is in that three-man committee. I thought Darrell Henderson was in a spot where he had no competition. I thought Darrell Henderson was going to get pretty much every single touch out of this backfield. The man played 24 snaps out of 58. He did not look good. This offense did not look good. Cooper Kupp now getting injured. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I was thinking telling people to play Darrell Henderson. Henderson, clearly not a starting running back. Clearly not someone you can consider. I don't think Kyron Williams is going to be great either. I think this is maybe a comparable situation where the ball is going to be going to so many different running backs here, especially if Cam Akers isn't traded. And they said Akers would be coming back to this offense. This is just about the muddiest backfield you could find in Los Angeles. Now, our last lesson learned, the biggest one. What was I doing drafting Jonathan Taylor at 1 in fantasy drafts? What was I doing not taking Christian McCaffrey in every freaking league you could? The man, 34 passing yards, passing touchdown. 94 rushing yards, rushing touchdown. 8 receptions, 55 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Christian McCaffrey scored more as a passer than Malik Willis. Scored more as a rusher than Jonathan Taylor. Scored more as a receiver than Justin Jefferson. Now that I say that, we got to go ahead and we got to tweet that out real quick. I mean, oh my gosh, Christian McCaffrey, absolutely phenomenal. Looks like the #1 overall player in fantasy. I will say when you get Deebo Samuel back in, I think you will scale CMC just a bit because they are kind of comparable as two pseudo receiver running backs operating across line of scrimmage. I don't know. I'm just excited for anybody in the flock who has CMC. But I think that should be it. Of course, thank you so much for checking out this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Really hope you got something from it. And if you did, go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. Let me know in the comment section any questions, takeaways that you have. And also, we are going to be running that free bet on Underdog this week for anybody who uses promo code FLOCK. So if you go sign up for Underdog and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. And I need you to go to the comment section. Tell me, what do you want the free bet to be? Do you want it to be Kupp? Probably not with the ankle injury, but do we want it to be Derrick Henry over under half a receiving yard or a rushing yard? I apologize. But I think that should be it. Of course, thank you so much for everything. Really hope you had a great week and really hope we get to see you in the live stream Monday night.